What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Today, I bring you the Ben Riley program, in which I'm going to give you your routine to achieve or try to resemble as much as possible this guy right here. Miguel O'Hara was one of the guys that in the movie, right? Everyone looked at him and was like, "Man, that guy's jacked." His program that you can find in the link in the description is very lat trap, neck, and lockout of the triceps bias, um, and he didn't focus too much on legs. But Ben Riley's physique is a little bit different in the sense that it doesn't focus on the back, on the chest. It focuses mostly on the limbs, especially the biceps for the upper body. And for the lower body, we have the calves and the quads. On top of that, I would like to add the forearms. And regarding the shoulders, there's something I want to say, and that is that for some people, bigger shoulders makes your upper arm look smaller. For other people, it's the opposite. It creates a bigger like arm in general. So what I did in this program is give you the option to do less vertical pressing volume. I still believe that working the rear delts is going to give you benefits not only in terms of aesthetics but in terms of shoulder health. So I'm not going to change that. But in terms of vertical pressing, which is going to develop mainly the rear and side delt, I give you the chance to do more or less volume depending on if you believe that bigger shoulders are actually going to go against your aesthetic goals. So that's a disclaimer I wanted to give. But now I'm going to tell you how the game plan works. For limb biased programs, I would recommend following, like in this case, an upper lower routine. And as an option, I'm going to give you, you can have an arm day. If it's really a weak point, I'd say it's fine. Have an arm day where you really focus on it. But in this program, I decided and to also to change a little bit the format that I do the programs, I decided to not include an arm day and actually make, well, technically I'm lying. Every single day in the program, upper day is an arm day. We are going to train arms extensively on every single session. Especially the biceps with high priority to the biceps, better said. Um, just to change things up a little and to make it more homogeneous compared to just doing upper lower arms, rest upper lower, we're going to be doing upper lower upper rest upper lower, sorry, lower upper. So that's how we are going to approach it. And the muscles that are most important are going to be the biceps, in which you want to train 2 to 3 times a week. I think that's the best frequency for the biceps with high intensity, really pushing it to failure. And really, when you're going to work your biceps, really work them until you can't literally like bend your elbows anymore. Um, for the forearms and the calves, I had this philosophy that because they're muscles that were designed to be submitted to a high amount of workload, you want to train them with high frequency and a high intensity and do as much volume as you can while maintaining the high frequency and the high intensity. Then for the quads, we're going to just work them on our lower days, but the hamstrings, our volume is mainly going to come basically from isolations because I'm going to sacrifice, quote unquote, some hinging volume for more quad volume and to prevent any type of imbalance between the hamstring and the quads, which can lead to knee problems or knee stability problems. I basically put all of the or most of the hamstring volume in isolations, and I think that way we are going to be able to spam more the leg compounds. So that's what I wanted to clarify. Now we can move on to the program in itself. We are going to start with the it's upper legs upper rest legs upper, and then you have another rest day. So we're going to start with the first upper day. The first movement is going to be a weighted dip, and then we're going to superset that with either easy bar curls, which I think is the preferred option in this program, or seated dumbbell curls. We're going to do this in the 5 to 8 rep range for the weighted dips, And I think this rep range is good for the dips, because if you go lower, I think it's going to start causing shoulders or sternum issues. And if you go higher, you should start thinking of it more as a secondary movement, or a movement you do after your heavy hitter. So 5 to 8, I think, is the sweet spot to start off your day. And then we have 6 to 12 for the curls. I think that for isolation, going low rep doesn't make sense. But specifically for curls, I think that with EZ bar curls, you can go a little bit lower. Instead of 8, you can go to 7 or 6 to 12. As long as you control the eccentric, don't ego lift, and have your tempo in order, right? And add pauses if you want to. Sorry for that voice crack. You're going to be just fine. So, good way to start with a compound that's going to target the triceps, the shoulders, the chest, and then the priority muscle, which is the biceps. If you want to grow a muscle, you have a lot of techniques you can use to really put focus on it. And one of those is having it at the beginning of the session when you're freshest. And that might be via isolation. So you start off with exercises that are going to isolate that area, right? Or you can do it via bias compounds. Here I could have added basically fat grip chin-ups, which are going to target the bicep, but still are going to target the back. I myself prefer to start it off with just the bicep curls, because I think that if you're going to work the biceps, work the biceps. But if you think that with bias compounds you can get away with it, then go ahead. Then we continue with the second superset, which is going to be a vertical press, 80 press, military press, or deficit handstand push-up, 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 12, or in the case of the deficit handstand push-ups, as many reps as possible. We couple that with weighted pull-ups, either with a neutral grip or a supinated. Now, I forgot to include it in the program. After recording, I'm probably going to add it. You want to have either a medium or a close grip for this one. I want it to be a very lat bias pull in this case. We're going to be doing 4 sets of 6 to 10. We already worked our back, we already worked our shoulders, at least the front L to a great extent. We worked our biceps. So now, at least we worked it in the mid-length position. So now what we are going to do is warm up our elbows with reverse pushdowns or double rope pushdowns. Two to three sets. There we go. Today I can speak. 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15. And then 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 15, and then the hammer curls we're going to be doing 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15. I think that the hammer curls are a great way of warming up the biceps for a stretch, but at the same time you target the brachialis. So I think it's a great movement, and it's also going to target mostly the forearms. So it's not, whoever tells you the hammer curls work the biceps, not really. So don't worry about that. It's a forearm movement, but it also allows you to warm up that area that the bicep is going to be worked in. So pretty good movement for that. Then we have calf raises. It's what I was talking about. Calf raises are going to be both in the lower days as in the upper days. So you can basically include it anywhere you want to. I would recommend doing calf raises in a deficit with one leg at a time, but if you want to do it 2 legs at a time, I recommend adding some weight to not be doing like 1,000 reps. So that's the third superset. Basically, it's a warm-up superset if you want to, but also allows us to accumulate more tonnage. Then we move on to the fourth superset, which is going to have cable extensions, leaning away from the machine, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12, incline curls or spider curls, 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 15. Here, I really recommend incline curls because they're going to give you that stretch, and you already warm up with the hammer curls, the EZ bar curls, and also the weighted pull-ups. And then we couple that with lateral raises, either in a cable station or with a dumbbell, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Overall, we covered all of the upper body muscles we wanted to hit with the correct priority. Now we move on to the first lower day, which I have called legs because I have to, it's pretty funny, I have to clarify that I'm going to work legs in my programs because usually I call them lower days, but they are actually pull days. I don't know, things that just happen in this channel. So we start off with the first superset, which is going to be either a front squat or a plat squat. So a very quad focused squat, 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10. You want to take this not to failure, but basically to RPE, like leave, yeah, 2 to 1 rep in reserve. You really want to push the intensity on this one. And you couple that with neck curls and neck extensions. Of course, you have to always work your neck. It's always going to add to your aesthetics. Even if you want the Van Riley physique, I still believe that working neck is going to enhance the aesthetics. Then we have the second superset, which is going to be Smith machine hack squats, or just straight up machine hack squats, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12. With this one, you want to go balls to the wall, or not to beyond failure. You want to reach 0 reps in reserve to 1 rep in reserve. What I would recommend is you can do the first 2 sets to 1 rep in reserve, and then you do the last 2 to 3 sets to fail, not to failure, to 0 reps in reserve. That's how I would do it. But again, I don't train legs, so be my guest. Then we couple that with face pulls, either on a cable station or a band, with a band. I think that this is a pretty obvious superset you can include to add more rear delt volume, improve the scapular stability, and at the same time work a little bit extra the traps, which might not be getting a lot of love in this program. So, and the mid back. And then we have followed that the dead hangs, 2 to 3 sets of as many reps as possible. This is just to work the forearms. Again, you want to work your forearms consistently, and this is a good way to do it in your lower days. After that second superset, we move on to the third superset, which is going to have leg curls, um, calf raises, and leg raises. We had to work the abs as well, so pretty simple superset to follow. Then we move on to the second upper day, which is going to be the first superset, overhead press or deficit handstand push-up, 2 to 4 sets of 8 to 12. So the OHP, I think it works great when you go a little bit higher rep, because when you go lower, the instability might be a limiting factor. So when you go high, it's like with rings. When you go higher rep, it usually isn't a concern. Then we have, coupled with that, wide grip pull-ups, which is a great movement, of course, 3 sets of as many reps as possible. We follow that up with a second superset, which is basically a movement that is going to work our lateral head and our medial head along with the long head, which is going to be reverse pushdowns or row pushdowns, 3 sets of 8 to 12. By the way, for those that don't know, reverse pushdowns are basically you put a bench against the cable stack and you sit yourself facing away from the cable stack. You grab a straight bar attachment and you do your pushdowns like that. It feels amazing, very stable, very grindable. We couple that with rows, either inverted rows or Helms rows, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 or 6 to 10. Then we have the third superset, which is going to be cable extensions, leaning away from the machine, 4 sets of 10 to 15, cable curls or spider curls, because we are already the cable station, so why not? 4 sets of 10 to 15. And then as the last superset is going to be calf raises and skiers, more rear delt volume. Then we move on to the second leg day, which starts off with a hinge, 3 sets of 6 to 10, neck curls, neck extensions. Pretty straightforward. Then we have Bulgarian split squats, 3 sets of 10 to 15 on each side. This is just to add more tonnage to the legs. Face pulls again, and dead hangs. I would recommend doing your split squats with straps to be able to do the dead hangs as the superset. And the last superset is the one that we saw previously, so not much to elaborate here. Then we have the upper three, which starts off with, if you want to call it, a diagonal press, which is an incline press. And you can do it either incline dumbbell press or decline push-ups, either in a deficit or regular, 4 sets of 6 to 12. Couple that with pinwheel curls or cable rope curls. These two movements is what I would call a general elbow flexion movement, which is going to develop the brachialis, but at the same time is going to target some of the biceps and some of the radiobrachialis, which is the muscle in the forearm. Um, Depending on the movement, you choose either 6 to 10 or 8 to 15. Then we have dips, weighted or regular, or deficit push-ups, again, the weighted or regular. This was a mistake right here, is 2 to 4. There we go. And you go either 8 to 12 or as many reps as possible. Then we couple that with tempo pull-ups. Now, the way you want to do quote unquote tempo pull-ups is basically you want to squeeze, think of squeezing your back on the way up, and then on the way down you want to feel your back stretching with a slow eccentric and a pause at the top and a pause at the bottom. It's a really TUT type of execution, and it really fries your back with very little weight. So I just put body weight because, man, my voice cracks today. So I just put body weight because most of you are going to be absolutely destroyed by just your body weight. And if you were to add weight, you would just start turning it into a regular pull up, and we don't want that. So I just put strictly body weight. Even if you have to do like 20 reps, you're not getting 30 reps of this type of pull ups, by the way. You are not. So even if you get 20 reps, you're still in a good rep range for hypertrophy. And it's the intended purpose of the movement to not be too taxing in terms of weight. Then we have the third superset, which is going to be reverse pushdowns or double row pushdowns. It's basically the warm-up superset we talked about in the upper one. And then we finish off with cable extensions, leaning away, and incline curls or spider curls. So this is the program. As you can see, is oh man, as you can see, it's a very biceps focused program. It works the forearms and the calves every single day, and you can see that you can regulate the shoulder volume depending on how much you want to grow them. So I'm going to leave you guys with this program. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you have any program suggestions you want to try out? This one was a limb dominant program. I did a, let's just say, yoke bias program. So what type of program would you like to see? A leg focus is out of the picture, by the way. Do you want to see a chest focus program, an arm focus program? I think this one pretty much covers that. So a chest focus program, a shoulder focus program. Do you want to see that? You just tell me in the comments below, and I'll be glad to hear it. So thanks a lot for you watching, and have a great day.